Hey folks, my name is Ravish and welcome back to another video in the series of DevOps real-time interviews. Now, we have a profile with us today. So this person is having around 5 plus years of experience in IT and 4 plus years of experience in DevOps and cloud related services. So we started with the current work profile, what exactly she has done. Then we talked about DataDog, the monitoring part. We talked about 2 scenarios, and post that we did lay emphasis on Terraform versus Ansible, what to use and when to use on a scenario as well. And then we asked a scenario on Terraform. Post that EKS, the Elastic Kubernetes service, we asked a scenario on that as well. So there were 2-3 scenarios, and this is a good interview to take a look at. And this interview is special because the candidate was good, the communication skills were good. The only thing is, you please keep your subtitles on because the person is from different location, and if you do not understand it, feel free to switch on the subtitles. All right, so and I would like to request that if you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel because that would really support me to create more content like this. Like this video and share with your friends because that really helps me grow. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So let's start from the very basic. I just wanted to understand what exactly is your total years of experience in IT?
Just a little above 5 years.
5 years. Okay. And how much into DevOps?
Fully, because there's a very fine line between cloud engineering and DevOps. So
Yes.
most times, if you start your career as a cloud engineer, you start to do things related to DevOps, and after some time, you are fully moved into the DevOps team. So I started my career as a cloud. Okay, my internship I did as a network engineer. Then from there, I got interested in cloud and moved to work as a cloud operations engineer. Then from there, fully to DevOps. So I would say roughly 4 years, 4 years of DevOps. So,
Okay.
but before that, it was cloud operations engineering.
Okay. Yeah, you were correct. So basically, previously it used to be DevOps engineers separately and then cloud engineers separately. Now people expect, when they say DevOps engineer, they expect you to have a cloud knowledge as well. So yeah, that's pretty much correct. It is a fine line between DevOps and cloud engineer. So people who are into DevOps work on cloud as well. So yeah, that's correct. Okay, let's start it then. Can you just walk me through the current work that you are doing right now in your project or your product?
Okay. Okay. Where do I start? Okay. So in my current team, um, we are split. We have about 11 DevOps engineers, but we are split based on product to product basis. So say the work I'm doing is almost same or very similar to the work somebody else in another team is doing for the same company. For instance, say my so I work in the fintech, so there are different products in the fintech. So my own product is the business side. So you have the retail users, then you have the business, the SME users like small and business enterprises. Sorry, small and medium enterprises. So then you have the retail users, the regular users that want to use your fintech app. Then you have the team that manages the card payment, ensuring that they conform to the security best practices and whatever policies the cybersecurity, the auditors put in place. So mine is the business side of things, like the SME customers. So what I do is it ranges from so currently the team is kind of mixed. So the DevOps team, we also do SRE for our products. So I am okay. So yes, I don't say we are doing the same things because the people on cards they're not doing exactly the same things. So what I do is SRE and DevOps for the business team. So that ranges from managing the Kubernetes clusters on both testing and production environment, managing their Docker files, managing their AWS infrastructure and Azure infrastructure. We use both clouds simultaneously because our test environment is on AWS, the production and staging environment is on Azure. So I fully manage. I mean, for some companies, you might expect some people will be managing Azure products, while some but For us, we all do it. Just do whatever you need to do for your product. So I manage both the AWS infrastructure and the Azure infrastructure for my product team. So I also manage their Terraform code. I Okay, so I don't do the databases, but I manage the network connection. For instance, if we need to create a point-to-site VPN for, say, a new DB admin on the team, that's part of my responsibility. Then, if for some reason we need to create a site-to-site VPN for a customer, that's also me doing that for my team. Then, trying to remember. Okay, then yes, part of my responsibility too is cost optimization across the actually across the company, not just for my team. Yeah, so if I come up with a policy that ensures cost is cut down, I have to propagate it to the rest of the DevOps engineers. Okay, this is what we need to start doing. Ensure that all your services have, say, HPA implemented fully, and this is the configuration we want to use. Then what else? Um, okay, let's say I'm doing a sweep. I'm checking the unused. Say I wrote a lambda function that is supposed to check for unattached EBS volumes. I wouldn't run it just in my own environment. I have to run it across. When I identify those volumes, I need to alert them. Okay, these are the volumes that are not in use. Go through the list before I run the code to take them down. And I say this because from my experience, I noticed that most times people create, let's say they quickly create an instance and they finish using it and they take it down. I mean, fair enough, they remember to take it down. But what most people don't know is that the storage attached to the EC2 instance sometimes it doesn't get deleted. So you see a lot of volumes dangling around. People feel okay, I've done my part, I've deleted the instance, I'm no longer using it. But they forget that sometimes if you don't explicitly delete it, it doesn't get deleted, depending on how you created the EC2 instance. So things like that. So yeah, part of my responsibility personally is cost optimization. Then for configuration management, we work a little bit with Ansible, but not so much as Terraform. Then uh, try to remember.
No, that's
Okay,
that's
yes,
that's that's good, fine.
troubleshooting. Okay,
That's pretty much fine.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
I'll start from the monitoring first. Let's keep, I mean, point to the point answers, and if you need any help, I would help you. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So I can see that you have written DataDog in your monitoring part, right? So let's talk
yes.
about a real-time scenario. Let's say
Okay.
you see a sudden and sustained spike in database errors in your Datadog dashboards. Okay. So you
Okay.
have a Datadog and there is a dashboard over there, and you are seeing there is a certain spike in the errors. Okay. While the initial investigation revealed resource constraint, they don't fully explain the magnitude of this spike. So they do not explain what exactly is happening because of that. How, as a
Okay.
DevOps engineer, as an SRE, you would identify the root cause of the error search using Datadog features and integrations? Did you get the
Okay.
question? I can repeat it if you want.
Yes, I get where you're going. So I get the question.
Yeah.
So if I start to see errors that way, so I apart from the logs, sometimes the logs they don't really give you much depth to what's going on. Yes, you're seeing errors. Probably the queries are failing and things like that. But when you go down to the traces for that particular, yeah, when you drill down into the traces, you go over to things like flame graph and span list. It shows you the queries itself that are taking so much time. Apart from the I mean, sometimes when you want to make a request, there are multiple queries that needs to run before you get to the particular final data you want to pull out. So of all the span list, like the list of processes that your request went through, so which one is failing, which one is taking so much. Okay, let's say it's even a latency issue, like it's taking so much, that's why it's failing, it's timing out. Okay, which part of the query, like what particular query is taking this long? Like so I would say mainly make use of not just logs, mainly make use of traces and things like span list and flame graph. It gives you a more in-depth visibility into what's actually going on in the requests, not just the surface logs.
Okay, okay. Uh, Ideally, how would I do it? Is there are multiple things that you can do. There is something known as APM profiling. Okay, so
Profiling.
if applicable, you can use Datadog's APM feature to profile slow database queries and identify potential problematic statements. That you can do it. There is something known as anomaly detection. Okay, so you
Okay.
can consider Datadog's anomaly detection algorithms to identify unusual patterns in data, which might reveal previously unnoticed correlations. Okay,
Okay.
so basically this scenario requires a multi-pronged approach using Datadog diverse capabilities. You can combine the metrics and logs to provide holistic context. While this APM profiling and distributed tracing pinpoint specific code issues or service interactions that can happen. Okay,
Okay.
let's talk about another scenario. This is more related to the performance part. Okay, so sometimes what
Okay.
happens is there is a performance degradation during any major event. Okay, so let's say
Okay.
there is a large user influx event. Okay, let's say there is a
Mm-hmm.
sale going on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever used Amazon or something to
Yeah,
order?
yeah, yeah.
Used, right? So
Okay.
let
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
so let's take an example of Amazon sale only. Okay, so there is a sale
Mhm.
going on, and during that there is a large user influx event, and that's the sale. Your website's performance significantly degrades, leading to complaints and potential revenue loss. So
Okay.
when you take a look at the Datadog dashboard, they show increased error rates and API responses time. So as a DevOps,
Mhm.
how would you diagnose and optimize performance during these kind of events using Datadog so that you can minimize the downtime and the user impact?
Okay. So okay, off the top of my head, I'll think of two possible issues going on here. So your auto scaling is not optimal. It's not working. I don't want to think it's not there. I want to believe that every modern system design incorporates auto scaling, but maybe the auto scaling was not properly configured. So your resources are not scaling well, or maybe whoever puts the limit on it puts the limit is not enough. Say you say the minimum number of instances is 2, then the maximum is 10, and now you have unexpected influx. So probably you need to increase that 10 to 20 or more, depending on what your data is showing you. So my first guess would be the auto scaling is not working as expected. Then secondly, your DB. So maybe a lot of queries are going to the DB, and the DB capacity is not able to handle it. Most people want to go the route of increasing the size of the DB, like more CPU, more RAM, or whatever size you want, capacity you want to increase. But that's a bad idea for two reasons. Firstly, for you to do that, there will be a downtime. Like you need to power down the DB, then increase and power it up again, so that there's downtime. Then secondly, I mean, it's not how do I put it? Since it's just a sale, it's not a permanent, not like your customer base just increased. This is just a temporary influx because of the sale. So what I'll say is it's better to introduce a queuing system in between your clients and your database. So how it's supposed to work is the queue in between. What it does is, say a customer makes a request, and the request first gets to the queue before it goes to the DB. So the database is not under too much pressure to execute requests. And while it's busy, the customer's request doesn't have to fail. It might take a little bit more time, which is not ideal, of course, but it's better than having downtime. So the request is going to be on the queue, and then the database will not be under so much pressure. It's just going to work at the capacity of like the intended capacity, since it's just temporary. Then thirdly is also introducing
Okay.
caching.
Sorry to interrupt over here. See, your answer is
Okay.
correct in terms of what exactly could have happened on the infrastructure side. My question is not that. My question is, how will you use Datadog to check what exactly is wrong? So the problem statement that I've told you, the answer that you are answering is more of a problem towards the AWS end, or any cloud that you are using, which is correct. But my question is not
Okay.
that. My question is that how would you use Datadog
Okay.
features to just check so that you can minimize the downtime and user impact? I want to talk about
Okay. So
features of Datadog, not exactly what is happening wrong on the cloud side. Just stick
okay.
your
Okay.
answers towards features
Okay.
of Datadog.
Okay, features of Datadog. So of course you have your logs. You have your
Mm-hmm.
logs. So you look at the logs. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like what sort of errors are these? Because it wouldn't just give you error and that's it. It's going to tell you, depending on how you instrumented it in your code, it's going to give you well fine-tuned error messages. Okay, this is why this request is failing. Is it a legitimate error or not? Then apart from that, you like you said, you have your APM, your traces. So you have your traces, and when you drill down, I don't know why, but most times when I drill down into my traces, like my span list, my flame graph, when you drill down into it, if you understand the application, you will know what the problem is. Because your flame graph shows you, okay, this is the, because I mean a request is not just one request, there are multiple requests it passes through before it does the final thing the user asks for and then sends back the response. So at every step in, at every point in time, you will see in that flame graph, you will see where like if the latency is too high or that particular step is red, is failing, you will know that this is it. But then maybe a different environment, they might use something different to find out. But from my experience so far, when you look at the logs, look at the traces, then look at the metrics that are spiking, you will figure out what the problem is.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay, so just live tailing log is just one part of it. There is a resource utilization analysis. You can monitor the resource utilization of key infrastructure components like host containers and load balancer to identify the bottlenecks. And we have a feature of scalability testing as well. So you can leverage Datadog's synthetic testing feature to proactively simulate the user influx and identify potential scaling issues before the actual event. I mean, testing
okay,
through synthetic testing data feature.
okay,
There is a feature of dynamic dashboard as well, and there is a feature of alert in which you can utilize Datadog alert escalation features to notify relevant teams instantly about the critical performance. So yeah, that's pretty much about
okay,
it.
okay. So you're coming from the direction of chaos engineering even before the issue occurs.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean
so
you can test
ans-
it before actually.
okay. So I was answering thinking that okay, the issue is already happening, and this is how I'm going to troubleshoot it.
Okay. Um, so you use Terraform and Ansible as well, right? Both of them you have used in your recent past. So which
Yes, I
one do
have.
you prefer and why?
Well, they're not actually the same. People confuse it, but they're actually doing two different things. Yes, they have the capability of maybe something similar, but Terraform is IOC while Ansible is DSC, like disaster state configuration. So let's say for Terraform, if I want to provision servers, provision resources on the cloud, and I want to manage it using version control, Terraform is my person. Then Ansible, if I want to ensure that, say, my servers are updated, for instance, my Linux servers are running the latest version of what now? Let's say firewall, UFW, or latest version of Docker or whatever package I will use Ansible. So it just manages my desired state. And because of the fact that it's idempotent, I'm more confident that yes, whenever I run my Ansible script, my environment remains the way I want it to be. While for Terraform, I want to manage. I want to see what's in my environment in my version control system. I want to see, okay, this is what I have. I have 20 servers or 100 servers. I have 20 load balancers. I have this number of databases, and this is their configuration. Whenever I look at it, I know that yes, this is the infrastructure I have running currently in my environment. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, based on that, give me one scenario each in which you will use either Terraform or Ansible. One scenario for each.
Okay. Say a developer or the developer from my team walks up to me and says, "We are trying to test out this feature. We need this so kind of environment. We need a load balancer. We need 3 servers. We need database. Whatever it is they need. Because I know that this kind of request will come from time to time. So it's best for me to write it as IAC using Terraform. So when I write it down, I just run my Terraform init, plan and apply, and I deploy the environment and give them whatever outputs they need. So that's me deploying an environment, like an actual infrastructure using Terraform. Then for IAC, sorry, for Ansible, is say a case of I need to update my server. I need to patch my server. Say I need to run in the latest version of okay, let's say the security team comes and says there's this security report from OWASP saying that this version of what can I use now? Say package. Let me use uncompleted file, that's UFW. Say this version of UFW now has vulnerabilities. Please ensure that this server is running UFW are updated. I'll use Ansible. So
Okay. That's qualifies an example. Okay, you have worked on Prometheus as well.
not as much as DataDog, just a little bit.
Okay, are you comfortable answering Prometheus? If not, I can move on to some other thing.
Yes, please move on to
No,
something
no
else.
problem. Okay, so let's talk about Terraform only.
Yeah.
Um, so why do we need state file when we talk about Terraform? What's the importance of it?
Okay. Okay. So first of all, Terraform not cannot, but without state file, Terraform will no longer be Terraform. So quite a bold statement. Let me explain. So now let's say I'm using AWS. Like I told you in the previous example, I deployed one load balancer, 3 EC2 instances, and other resources I need. Let's say Elastic IP, whatever these resources I need to test that feature for the developer. Now, without the state file, how do I know what's there? Like what's up there? I'll have to waste a lot of time going to that environment to go to check. That's one. Then how does Terraform know what to do? Like Terraform wouldn't know what to do. Like am I when you say Terraform apply, are these resources already there or do I need to create them? When you say Terraform destroy, are these resources, what am I like? Terraform cannot just function without state file. So state file is like mapping your real world resources to Terraform, like, okay, this is what I have. So for Terraform to be aware of, okay, this is what I have, this is what I'm managing. If somebody goes to the console and manually changes something, Terraform will want to send it back to that state that you wrote on your configuration file. So that way, that's how Terraform can work together with the cloud environment. So yes, state
Okay.
file very crucial.
Okay. So where do you keep your state file when you create infrastructure?
Okay, so is best to keep it as in remote backend. So I mean, for somebody who's learning Terraform, you can use a local backend, but for the sake of collaboration and better security and management, is best to use a remote backend, whether on Terraform Cloud or on services like S3 plus
Okay.
DynamoDB.
Have you ever
Yeah.
done that on your own? I mean, putting on S3 or uh,
Yes.
Azure Blobs S3. Okay.
S3 and DynamoDB for state locking.
Okay. Consider a scenario that in which the state file from the S3 gets deleted. What now?
Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. 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 I've never experienced such, and I hope not to. But then, so the state file. Usually is it has different versions. Uh let's see.
Let's say there is no versioning. Are you talking about the versioning feature that we have on S3?
Yes, yes,
Let's
yes.
say
No,
we
no,
have
no,
not
no.
enabled it. It's not there.
No, I think Terraform automatically enables versioning on the state file. So anytime you update states, a new version is created, and you still see the older versions. So can I assume that the older versions are still there?
No, let's assume the bucket is deleted.
Wow, that's a tough one. Uh, wow. Uh, uh, and I don't think the local backend has any state file. Um,
It's okay. I mean, that's a food for thought for you. You can search later.
yeah, well, if you, I mean, I'll be very glad to know what could be a way out here, if you don't mind.
No, I think you have to take a look what exactly happens. But I can give you a hint in my next
Okay.
question. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Let's say you have 10 EC2 instances created. Okay.
Okay.
And they're already
Mm-hmm.
there. You created them manually. Okay.
Manual. Okay.
Manually.
Okay.
Now your
Okay.
system engineers are saying that we want to move to Terraform. Okay. They don't want
Okay.
to create the instances manually. So you said,
Okay.
okay, fine, that can be done. We need 10 more servers, which is total 20 now. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see that there is already 10 existing resources in AWS, and now you are creating 10, which will make it 20.
Okay.
How would you tell the current Terraform scripts that you are writing that there is
Mm-hmm.
already existing system, already existing resources in the AWS? How will you tell the Terraform? Is
Okay.
there any
So
way?
do you want to start managing them, or what? You want to also manage the existing thing, right?
Existing, you have to manage them. Is that possible?
Yeah. So yes, you can import existing resources into Terraform. So you create, let's say it's an EC2 instance. So you create a resource block for it. Put the mandatory attributes, then run Terraform imports, then the resource ID, and then that way it creates a state file. Then it starts managing those existing resources via Terraform. Okay, so yes, that can actually solve our problem, but that means your environment is not so large, and like you're already aware of what the resources are, so that way you can re-import them. Okay, but it's going to be quite hectic doing that for a large environment.
Okay, I mean, I can give you more hints on that. So, see, generally what happens is we do not give permission to everyone to delete anything on the AWS. We give them read access, mostly not the delete access. Okay. As a DevOps engineer,
Okay.
you should know that. Okay. So
Yeah, yes, of course.
that's why you can always be cautious about it. Okay. There are ways to do that. If you have a backup of the state file, you can restore it. But as I said that the S3 bucket is already deleted, then you cannot.
Yes.
Okay. So just
Yeah.
in order to do that, always make sure that you have a backup over somewhere. You talked about
Okay.
versioning part, right? That's also one good thing. Okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
always a good practice as a DevOps engineer because many organizations have a backup policy. Okay. So backup
Mm-hmm.
policy is something like you do not put everything directly into the S3 bucket. And if you have put it, then you take a backup
Mm-hmm.
of it every 1 hour, every 1 day, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you do something, that's very important. Okay. In that case,
Mm-hmm.
even if the S3 bucket gets deleted, you will have the backup. Okay. The other way
Okay.
is to recreate the state locally. It's kind of I mean time taking process because if you do
Yeah.
not have a backup, you have the original Terraform configuration file, you can create the state locally, initialize a new Terraform workspace in the same directory as your Terraform file, like Terraform init. Then you can Terraform apply. And then I think using init backend config backend.tf.wars, you can replace the tf wars with your actual backend configuration file. That's one way of doing it. I mean, you can do more R&D on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another way of doing it. But yeah, it's kind of tough or that. Or the
Yeah. Yes.
or the last way is if you have deleted the state file from your remote file, and if you were developing it on the local and you have the file over there, so you can manually restore it. You can do AWS S3 copy CP, and then your backup file path, and then your S3 bucket path, and as soon as you hit enter, it will transfer over there. But again, problems can arise. It will replace the path and the I mean, it will replace if there is anything over there, or if there is nothing, it will just put it away. Okay, that's one. Otherwise, you have to recreate it, and it's terrible. So just
Yeah,
try to
very
stay away with
terrible. Yeah.
these kind of things. Okay. I Let me take a look at the profile. I can see that you have a lot of certifications. Which was the toughest one of these?
Wow. The DevOps professional, AWS DevOps professional was quite tough. Then
The
I think
AWS
followed by
certified DevOps professional.
yes,
It
it
is
was quite
indeed.
tough. Followed by CKA, then the security specialty. So
Okay. I can see that you have CK as well. Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's talk about Kubernetes. Okay.
yeah.
First, can you just walk me through like what exactly you have done on Kubernetes?
Our microservice, most of our applications are managed via microservices.
Before
So we
starting,
control
this was on Azure or AWS?
both. I told you the test
Both of them.
environment is on.
Okay. Which one are you more confident on?
I mean, Kubernetes is Kubernetes. Okay, for cloud AWS,
For
but Kubernetes is Kubernetes. So
yeah.
it's the
So
same. It's just that managing your control plane for you. So
okay.
doing
So
your
you're
backups.
confident on AWS more, because I
Okay.
will rule it out, because if you're not confident, I won't ask. That's what I'm
No, yeah, AWS is definitely my preferred cloud. Yes,
AWS. Cool. Okay.
AWS. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Please proceed.
Okay, most of our applications are containerized. So we have the Docker files, we have the Docker containers, and we are orchestrating all of that using Kubernetes. So we don't use on-prem, we don't use bare metal Kubernetes. We use managed Kubernetes on AWS and Azure. That's EKS and AKS. When we write our CI/CD pipeline, it pushes the I mean, it pulls the image from ACR or ECR as the case may be, and then deploys to EKS or AKS as the case may be. So my experience has been around creating an EKS or a Kubernetes cluster, managing the ingress, the manifest files, using customized to manage the config map generation and the manifest files, like managing the manifest files, then the service files, ingresses, just getting the application running on Kubernetes, troubleshooting it, things like that.
Okay. Just walk me through a recent scenario that you have resolved in terms of Kubernetes.
Okay. 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 So a developer approached me, say on the test environment, of course, saying that so that he has this issue, like while he's testing out his API, sometimes he makes a request and it goes through. Some other times he feels that he doesn't understand what's going on. So I went into the cluster, then I started troubleshooting. So I discovered that the problem is it was drawing out of memory. That's a OOM queued error. So that's out of memory exception. So what was happening was, say the application was up and running. Let's say he starts his day, he makes a request, it goes through. Then subsequent requests starts to take so long, so much time, and starts to consume the memory resources. I mean, it's test environment, so you wouldn't want to waste so much money on assigning so much resources to a test environment. So when he makes subsequent requests and it starts to take so long, then it runs out of memory and the pod gets terminated. So when the pod is terminated and he makes another request, that request will fail. So that intermittent response he gets, like sometimes the request is good, sometimes it comes back bad, is because of that period where the pod crashes, and because our restart policy was set to always, like whenever the pod crashes, restart. So and then there's liveness and readiness probe to attach to the manifest file. So when he tries, when the pod has exceeded the memory allocated to it, so that period the pod is still trying to restart. That's where he gets the 503 error. Yeah, that's where he gets the 503 error, and I checked it. Then I discussed with him. Then I increased the amount of memory assigned to that particular microservice, and that's how the issue got resolved.
Okay. 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 Let's talk about a scenario. You have a critical application running on EKS with two replicas. Okay. And
Sure. Okay.
two replicas in a single essential pod disruption budget PDB. Okay. A node
Okay.
needs schedule maintenance. So this node needs a schedule maintenance. During the maintenance, one replica inevitably gets evicted as there is only one node. Okay. However, the application requires at least one healthy replica to be available at all times. How will you solve it?
So the application requires one replica to be available.
Yes.
But
One
he said
healthy replica, yes. Available at all times.
yeah, but he said the pod disruption budget allows just kills one at a time, right?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So the I think you call this single SE.
No, I said that this application that you are running on EKS with two
Yes.
replicas in a single essential PDB, power disruption budget. Okay,
Okay.
this node needs scheduled maintenance. Okay,
Okay.
so during the maintenance, one replica, there were two replicas. Okay, one replica inevitably gets evicted as there is only one node. Okay, somehow it happened. However, the application requires at least one healthy replica to be available at all times. How will you solve this problem?
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
You know what is
Uh,
PDB, right? I mean, have you worked on pod disruption budget, PDB?
is it pod or power disruption budget?
Yeah.
So that's pod disruption budget. Like how many pods are you willing to, I mean, let go of during scheduled maintenance, right?
I mean, it helps you basically. I mean, when you can say that it's a great method of ensure the availability and reliability of applications in Kubernetes clusters. I mean, if you'll just Google it, it will show you the exact same line.
Okay, so the one I'm familiar with is your
Are you
pod
familiar with
disruption.
this? If you're not, then I think uh, you won't be able to get it.
Okay, okay, okay,
It
okay.
basically guarantees a minimum number of pods.
Yeah, but that's what's called pod disruption budget. But I think you called it something else.
I called it
Except
this
I
only, PDB only, right? Pod disruption
okay.
budget. I'm
Yes,
call
yes,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with it. And if that's the case, then we are guaranteed of one pod, of which you said, I mean, you need just one replica to be running. So I don't think we have a problem here, except I did not understand correctly.
Okay, okay. I mean, based on that, what would you do?
What will I do? Well, I don't know if I understood you correctly, but then if the pod distribution budget already guarantees that one replica will be up and running, then you don't really have a problem here because I mean you have your one replica once the the oh okay the node you have just one node.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You have only one node.
Ah, okay. Oh, I see. I see. Is it possible to create another node and what's this thing called again? Like drain into the other node?
Yes,
Is
the
that possible?
ideally the first step is to drain the node gracefully. And that's first step. What will you do next?
Yes. Okay. Then do the upgrades, like upgrade the node you want to upgrade. Then
Mm-hmm.
like what's that term again? But in layman terms, just create a new node,
Okay.
drain the existing nodes,
Mm-hmm.
upgrade your desired node, then reschedule them on on the updated node.
Okay, what else?
You shut down the second node that you spinned up.
Yeah, but if that happens in future, what will you do? You have to be ready for the future because this problem happened somehow. So you have to be foolproof in the future. What will you do?
Okay. Um. Yeah. Well, the only thing that comes to mind is running more than one node at a time. If that's okay, even if it's at half capacity, um, I think that's safer. Actually, even having just one node introduces a single
How? So
point of failure.
you will add them manually every time. So if this problem happens again, so you'll have add them manually every
Okay.
time. That'll
Okay.
that that'll require time, right?
Okay. Yes, I get.
And
I
as a
get your point.
DevOps, you do not think that
Yes.
way. Not a bad. You can do that, no doubt, but it's taking your time. And if it happens again, it'll again take your time. Let's say you are gone on some vacation or something, and this has happened in
Oh,
production. They will
yes,
call
I
you.
think.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I came across some that kind of scenario while I was writing my CK, but I can't remember. I can't remember what was supposed to be done.
Okay, I'll help you
Um.
out. The first thing
uh,
which I talked about, uh, draining the node. That's the first step. You can, before the maintenance, you can use this basic kubectl drain that will
yes.
gracefully evict the pod. Okay,
Okay.
from
Mm,
from the node, and it will reschedule it to another healthy node. Okay, then you can
okay.
ensure that PDB minimum available replicas are still met while migrating. Okay, that's the
Mm,
first step. Then I think
mm,
you can utilize the rolling updates with surge and readiness probes. So you can
mm.
configure a deployment with both surge and readiness probes. Okay, so because of that, what happens is when you during the update, one new replica is launched and another node before terminating the existing one. That's how Kubernetes works. Okay, and the readiness probe ensure that only healthy replicas contribute to the available count, and something that is going to die won't be a part of it. Okay,
Yeah.
then the third problem
Mm-hmm.
which we were talking about, you can employ some cluster or autoscaler or something. This will utilize to automatically add new nodes before the pod evicts happen during the maintenance. This will ensure PDB requirements are always met. So this is how you can do it.
Okay. So the cluster auto scaling is like compulsory there. Like it needs to. Okay. Okay.
You
Yeah.
can add that. Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about since you said that you did your internship in network. We'll talk a bit related to network policy. Okay, this will be mostly on the misconfiguration part. Okay, so consider an
Okay.
application. The application that you are working relies on specific interpod communication. Okay, so there is a namespace. Okay, one
Okay.
namespace, and there are multiple
Mm-hmm.
pods inside it. Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
they are communicating with each other. You
Mm-hmm.
introduce a network policy to restrict the traffic, but accidentally you block the essential communication, causing the application to malfunction. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
let's say I have done it, and
Mm.
I am a junior DevOps, and you are a senior DevOps. How will you resolve this
Mm-hmm.
problem? You got the question? I can repeat it.
Mm. Okay, so the junior developer or junior DevOps, his network policy configuration is incorrect.
Huh. They introduce network policy to restrict the traffic, but because of something, let's say low knowledge, they block the essential communication, causing the application to malfunction. How will you resolve this problem now?
Well, I would say to reconfigure the network policy.
How would you know that which
Yeah.
network policy is having the problem?
Okay. Well, I, I would say I would say I'll test the connectivity between the different services. Like say, I mean, each application is behind the service. So say I go to a particular, I wouldn't say I'll go through all the applications. So anyone that is behind the service, so I'll lump it behind one service. I'll lump it as one application. So if I log into the pod, I will make a call request. to the next to the other set of service, like the other application running in the different service I'm interested in, and see if I get a response back. If I don't, then that means the configuration between them is not properly done. Then I'll start from there.
See, the ideal way to first of all describe the network policy. You can ask the person which network policy you created, okay, and then just kubectl describe the network policy. First thing that you'll
Okay.
see the ingress and egress rules, okay, and once you see
Okay.
them, you can compare them to the expected network connectivity requirements that you can do, okay.
Okay.
Post that, you can, if you want to debug, you can use this kubectl port hyphen forward, and you can forward a container port to your local machine and interact with the application directly. Okay, you don't have to wait for everything. So this will help you analyze potential connectivity issues causing by the network policy, and then revert the changes or policy and modify the rules. That's the simple answer to this question. Okay.
So it's more of editing the network policy manifest file. So like taking a look at it and debugging it.
First is
Okay.
find it out. Either find it out or ask the person what exactly was the one that you created. Describe it. Check ingress egress rules. Then compare them to the expected ones. Then to debug, port forward. Then just revert them or modify the rules. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. So this scenario would be related to the updates that we generally do for the deployments. We'll talk about the rolling update. You must have heard about this multiple deployment strategies, right? One is rolling update. Okay.
Yes.
So let's say you initiate a rolling update for your deployment. Okay.
Okay.
But it gets stuck in the pending state, leaving the application partially updated or potentially unstable. So partially updated means, let's say 50% is updated and 50% is potentially unstable.
Okay.
What will you do?
So firstly, I'll roll back. Then
You won't find out why
okay.
it was stuck and you'll simply roll
Yes,
back.
exactly. Yes, that's why I paused. So, firstly, I need to describe, the one of the pending ports, like the pod name, describe it. At least have that data. Then I'll roll back for the sake of my users. Then I'll look into the reason why the pod is stuck in the pending state. Is it, are we out of resources on the cluster? Do we need to scale or something? Because there's this stuff Azure does. It's called, I think it's called computing quota. So even if auto scaling is enabled in your cluster, if that particular type of compute resource, if you've exhausted it for a particular region, it won't let you scale that node pool. So most times when I run into that pending issue in production, it's usually because of that quota limit on Azure. So when I describe it, I check what the problem is. Then meanwhile, I need to roll over as soon as possible. So once I get that data and I roll over, then I'll just troubleshoot it and see how I go from there. Once I've figured it out, then I can fix the issue, then redeploy. So,
Okay. So let's say when we talk about a deployment, okay, consider it as my deployment. Okay. First of all, you check the deployments log. So you can use kubectl logs -f deployment and the my deployment. As soon as you analyze this rollout logs, you can identify any errors or warning hinting the cause of the stuck update. Okay. Then you can check the pod events. You have to go inside that namespace and the describe pod. Okay. You can check any individual pod events and identify any failures during the update process. Okay. Accordingly,
okay.
scale down, scale up. Okay. If you want, you can scale down to 0 replicas as well. Okay. This can sometimes
Okay.
force a resolution of stuck updates. Okay. It's more of a like sometimes you can say brute force, but it works. Okay. And then considering your manual intervention, if none of above works, investigate further and use kubectl debug tools to understand. There are multiple tools, so you can do. Have you ever used any tool for debugging?
Sorry?
Have you ever used any tool for debugging the logs?
No, I actually do that myself. I
Okay,
do it
manually.
manually. I mean, yeah, the only tool I use for kubectl for Kubernetes is Lens. So Lens makes it faster to go through the environment. But other than that, when I look at the logs or describe the pod, most times I figure out what the problem is.
Okay. So this would be my last question for today. But before asking that, I'll just ask whether you have worked on this or not. Okay. Have you worked on cluster autoscaler? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
resource starvation and cluster autoscaler, right? Worked on it.
Resource what?
Starvation.
No.
Okay.
But cluster scalar I've worked with
Then
those
I'll
that
just skip it.
come.
Don't worry. That I'll skip it. You have worked on stateful sets, right?
Stateful sets.
Yes.
Stateful sets. Yeah, I know what they are, but I've
Worked
not
on it.
used it in.
Worked on it. Yes or
Yeah.
no?
Oh, but then no, I've not done it in production. But then there's like I studied it while I was writing my CK. But there's an argument around stateful sets. They said is if you can avoid it, avoid it. So I mean, this is the first time I hear somebody asking a question on stateful sets. So if you disagree,
If you want
like
to
you
try,
disagree,
I can ask my question on stateful set.
okay. But do you get my points? Like most people are like avoid stateful sets. It's going to put you into trouble. It's difficult to configure and
No, no.
all of that.
I'm
Why some people
asking.
are like,
I'm asking this because uh, I want to judge you on what you know. I don't want to judge you on what you don't know. Okay. So
oh,
if you're confident on it, only then I'll ask. I don't want to judge you. Don't want to judge you on what you don't know. I want to judge you on what you know. Okay.
oh,
So if you're
right.
confident, I can ask my question on stateful set. Otherwise, I can go to some other topic in Kubernetes.
Yeah, some other topic, please.
So do you want me to ask on that? On stateful set?
No,
No. Okay.
no.
So you talked about something related to security, right? In the container
Yeah.
images. Are you comfortable with that? I can ask my question on that.
Security in the container images.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
consider a scenario. Okay. There is a critical security vulnerability and it is discovered in the container image. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this image is used by your application running on EKS. Okay. So somehow this got into your EKS and some container inside your node, inside your pod is running on it. You need to quickly mitigate the risk without downtime.
Mm.
How will you do it?
Hmm. Wow.
You understood the question,
Uh,
right?
yes. So no, saying without downtime makes it a little bit tricky. So I would just ask you a question. Do you consider the use of rolling updates a form of downtime? Is it downtime to you?
Sorry, which is?
So rolling updates in Kubernetes,
See,
do you consider
for
it?
me, anything, if your application is not um, accessible, it's downtime for me. If you are saying
Oh,
that
well,
if I'm seeing the older version of for my application, it's not a downtime for me.
yes.
Yeah.
So rolling updates wouldn't be a downtime. So I would say um, 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 get rid of whatever vulnerability it is that is affecting that image, rebuild it, push it to your private registry, then use when you deploy, ensure you make use of rolling update. So with rolling update now, it rolls out. What Kubernetes does is it spins up the new version. It takes down, let's say you're running 5 replicas, so it spins up a new replica for the new version. It terminates one old one, spins up another new one, terminates one old one. So that way your users still access your application. So I wouldn't call it a downtime.
Okay. Okay. So how would you deal with the situation then? Just rolling back.
No. Deploy, like redeploy the new version, like rebuild your image, like rebuild your image, push it to registry, then de- create a fresh deployment, and that way it's going to make use of rolling updates. So by rolling updates, you're not going to have a downtime, because where the only time you will have a downtime is if you decided to delete the deployment, then redeploy. But if you leave it to roll out in form of rolling updates, then you wouldn't have a downtime.
Okay. See, as a senior DevOps, first of all, you identify the affected deployment. Okay. You utilize the image
Yeah.
scanners or vulnerability feeds. Like there are multiple tools like Trivi or something to identify
Okay.
deployments using vulnerable image. Second, you roll back or patch. Okay. Patch the vulnerable image with a fixed version if available. Otherwise, just roll back to the good previous known image version of the rolling updates. Then you build and deploy a patched image. After that, you can implement the image scanning and signing. So that's a way of doing it. With Okay. Okay, I think I'm done. Do you have any questions for me?